Hey, Conspiracy Kyle here. My new book, Intergalactic Totalitarianism, is now out on Amazon Kindle and paperback. I'm currently in production of the audiobook, so you'll be the first to know when that is out as well. Links will be in the show notes, so check it out if you're interested.
And what is this gang?
Well, they are half man, half machine. They modify their bodies with droid parts to make themselves even more deadly. I beseech you, Lord Fett, rid the streets of Mos Espa of this scourge.
Why does it just lie there?
It's depressed.
This beast can feel such things.
Rancor are emotionally complex creatures.
I thought they were bred just to fight.
It was bred from champions for fighting. They're quite peaceful unless threatened.
Welcome to A Conspiracy in the Force, the show where we examine parallel conspiracies in a galaxy far, far away and a galaxy not so far away. The show is designed as an introduction to modern-day conspiracy theories by using Star Wars, one of the most beloved fictional universes, as a point of reference. Let's begin.
Book of Boba Fett, episode number 3. Hey, Conspiracy Kyle here. This episode is coming right off the heels of my episode 2 release breakdown, so sorry for the Boba Fett blitz, but I was delayed in getting this one out. Episode 4 breakdown will be coming out next Monday. Also stay tuned this Friday, I have a very, very special guest. This episode, number 3, was a very divisive episode for fandom. In this episode, Boba meets up with a new hipster gang of youngsters that ride fancy, multicolored speeder bikes. The bikes in the chase scene at the end have infuriated a contingent of fandom. But the main issue I have with this gang is that they're called mods, or modified humans. They have used cybernetic enhancements to allow for new abilities that they didn't have before. Arms, legs, and even an eye have been replaced with robotic parts. This goes back to the transhumanist agenda we've seen before in Star Wars. From Darth Vader to General Grievous, it's always meant to look really cool when there's a blending of human and robotics. With Vader, however, the transhumanism is meant to be a cautionary tale of how machines kept him alive, but in a non-human state. As Obi-Wan said, more machine than man. This is the fate of the allure to the dark side. In this show, however, the gang's cybernetics are just shown as being cool and hip. In my opinion, this is going to push kids even farther into the metaverse or electronics that seem cool, but start to take away from our underlying humanity. The other thing I noticed that both Disney and Star Wars properties have done over many years is to show how monsters are actually our friends and not scary. In this episode, the Rancor Keeper talks about how Rancors are actually loving creatures that are sometimes bred to eat people. From the Tusken Raiders to the Rancor to the monsters in Disney's Monsters, Inc., and even the evil witch Maleficent, we are now being shown in this modern age that monsters and villains aren't really monsters or villains. They just sometimes look that way, or they turn out that way. The Rancor just eats because he's hungry. The Tusken Raiders just scavenge and kidnap humans and beat humans because that's their way of life. Monsters Inc. monsters just scare kids in their rooms at night because they need the screams as energy to power their cities. I mean, look up the premise behind Monsters Inc. if you don't know what I'm talking about here. You'll get the obvious parallel to adrenochrome. I think this is all a very slippery slope. We need to draw a line between good and bad. When the line starts to get blurry, society starts to lose its morals. And you can argue that it already has in this world. Now, in a vacuum, stating that the Rancor is actually a loving creature isn't a big deal, and is probably actually true. Most animals that are seen as vicious, like pit bulls or sharks, are actually normal creatures under the right circumstances. But the Rancor was designed by George Lucas and the team to be a monster, because it is a monster. We don't need to add any nuance to this and say, well, it's only a monster because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, if we shifted that conversation to a human, you'll see how silly it sounds. Well, he's only a child murderer because he was abused as a child, or he's only a killer because he didn't receive love as a child, or he's only a rapist because of blah blah blah. No, evil is evil. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Conspiracy in the Force. May the Force be with you.